everybody, this is Purge bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. This is another hero that you guys voted for on my Please Choose the Next Hero for Purge to Play poll on my website. If you guys want to vote on that, you can click the drop-down box below, register for an account, and then pick which heroes you'd like me to play. Heroes that are currently on top: Rubik, Invoker, Ember Spirit. I have gotten all three of those completed, so I'm going to make VODs of those. Today we're going to look at Invoker. So I really like the poll though. It really helps me to focus what heroes you guys want. In the past, when I was making videos like 1 to 2 times a day, I was pretty much rotating through all heroes equally, but since I've been making a little bit less videos, more busy with other things, I haven't had as much time, unfortunately, to make all those videos. So with Invoker, we can head over to the Dotabuff segment. He's actually the 6th most popular hero in all Dota games. I was really surprised about this because at high levels you very rarely see him, but I can kind of see why he is so popular. He's one of the more challenging heroes. He's mechanically very interesting. He can be played so many different ways with so many different items. Like, this is actually really descriptive. Ranged carry, disabler, escape, nuker, pusher. He literally does so many things, depending on what build you want to do. And if you guys don't understand how Invoker works, the way he works is this. He's definitely one of the most unique, if not the most unique heroes in Dota 2. So you have 3 base orbs. You've got a Quas orb, it's blue. You've got a Wex orb, it's purple, and you've got an Exhort orb, it is the color of fire, aka red/orange. You can only have 3 orbs up at a time. So let's say I have a single point in Quas, a single point in Wex, and a single point in Exhort. And by that I mean, let's say I'm level 3, and I've skilled each one of those. I can choose to pull out whichever orb I want at any period of time. And by having them up, they provide some passive benefits. So for example, for every Exhort orb that I have up, I get a damage instance, and just by skilling it, as in putting my skill points into it, I increase my intelligence. And by increasing your intelligence, you're also increasing your base damage. So a single level of Exhort, let's say level 1, if I skill Exhort, I get 2 extra bonus, which gives me 2 damage, because I'm an int hero. And if I activate all 3 Exhort orbs and have 3 of those Exhort orbs flying around me, then I'm doing a total of 9 damage. But add in the extra intelligence, so you're doing 11. So you can only have 3 orbs up at a time. So 3 orbs means 9. Okay, and it works for every other thing. Wex gives you agility, which is attack speed, and a very small amount of armor. And while Wex is up, while the Wex orbs are up, you have movement speed and attack speed. So at level 1, you have a total of 3% movement speed increase, and you have a total of 6% attack speed increase. Very bad. Wex level 1 is not good. Quas is a bit better. It gives you strength, which is HP. So every level of Quas you skill, you get an extra 38 HP. And you also give yourself 1 HP regen per Quas up. So I can have up to 3 Quas, which at level 1 gives me 3 HP per second. Very good stuff. So that's really solid. You can have mix and matches, of course. I could have 1 Quas, 1 Wex, and 1 Exhort. That would give me 3 damage, 2% attack speed, 1% movement speed, and 1 HP per second. But usually you're going to have all of 1. So the only way that you have to change these is when you're invoking a spell. And what that means is you're basically putting in a code of your orbs to create a spell with your ultimate ability, which is called Invoke. Now, you can get Invoke at any level, except for, I guess can you get it at level 1? You probably can, but there's no reason, right? In the past, you weren't able to skill it until later, I think, originally a long time ago, but now you basically can get it at level 2. So what Invoke does is basically you press R or your ultimate button, and it says whatever orb count I have will create a spell. Sorry if this is so basic for so many Invoker players, but I know there's a lot of people watching that don't understand this. So for example, if I want to cast Cold Snap, I know that Cold Snap's combination is 3 Quas. So I get 3 Quas, I press Invoke, and then this pulls up my new ability Cold Snap, which I can use on my opponents. If I want to pull up Tornado, I know that I need 2 Wex and 1 Quas. So I'll press WWQ, and then I'll press R to invoke that, which will give me Tornado, and then I can press the hotkey for Tornado to throw my Tornado. So there's basically a lot of combinations. I believe up to 9 spells, if I'm not mistaken. It's basically 3 to the 3rd power gives you that many possible combinations of those, which is 9. So it's not 3 to the 3rd, sorry, 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. So that's how many spells there are. You don't need to know all of them, but you probably should know all of them. There's a lot of different ways to practice this stuff. You can go into WTF mode, where you can cast spells instantly, and you can practice throwing all of your spells rapidly. There's things like Invoker training. There's like web apps and things where you can practice it in the middle of nowhere, like in a web browser if you're at work and you're not doing anything. Things like that you can do. Those are all good ways to practice it. But usually there's only about 2 to 3 builds that you can do. One build that you can do is Quas Exort, or Quas Wex, sorry, where you level up these 2 orbs. I haven't said this yet, but this is important. Which orbs you get is actually really important. It's not just important because it's going to make you run faster. So for example, if I have 5 points in Wex, I'm getting 5% movement speed per instance. So with 3 of those, I get 15% movement speed, and I get 30 attack speed. That's pretty good. Really good movement and attack speed there. So by getting more Wex, I'm getting agility, I'm getting movement speed, I'm getting attack speed. That's all cool. But the important thing is that it makes those spells that I'm invoking better. So if I invoke a Cold Snap, but my Quas is only level 1, then the Cold Snap that I'm doing, I don't know if it shows on this website. I don't think it does because it's more of like a... Maybe here? Okay. So for Cold Snap, if I level 1 level 1 Quas, I'm getting 3 seconds of duration on Cold Snap. I'm getting this cooldown for freeze cooldown. This is the oftenness that I can stun an opponent, and the damage it does is here. So if, for example, if I do a level 1 Cold Snap with level 1 Quas, then it doesn't do as much damage. It doesn't stun them as often. All of those things are really relevant. So that's important to realize. So usually you're going to want to basically put skill points into the abilities that you're more partially using. So for most, Cold Snap is a standard. You will get Quas on all of the popular builds. There's only like 3 builds basically because some of the other ones just simply aren't very viable. Cold Snap is pretty common. Ghost Walk makes you go invisible. Tornado will shoot out a tornado that does damage. It lifts people for a temporary amount of time, and then when they hit the ground, they'll take the damage. That's used very well for EMP, which is a very Wex ability. It's an all 3 Wex ability, and that drains mana. After it explodes, the mana drained 50% goes to Invoker. Alacrity, this is a Wex and Exhort ability, makes you attack faster and do more damage. Chaos Meteor, very common spell if you're playing Exhort Invoker, and it throws a boulder that rolls and does damage. And Sunstrike does pure damage globally, very cool spell. Forge Spirit, you summon minions. Ice Wall, you can put a little thing on the ground that slows your opponents and does a little bit of damage to them. And Deafening Blast is the one of everything spell that does a nuke. It knocks them back, which is essentially a a stun, and Disarm, which prevents them from attacking. So if I were to categorize, all these probably sound really cool, but the way that I would categorize Invoker's abilities is none of them are particularly like an ultimate. Like none of them are as strong as a typical hero's ultimate, basically. In almost all cases, none of them are that good, unless you're talking about a very late game Invoker. They're all somewhere between a base skill and an ultimate, is how I would describe it. With the exception of maybe Cold Snap is very close to being a basic skill, and I would say maybe Ghost Walk is as well. It's very close to being a basic skill. Alacrity, Chaos Meteor sounds really cool on paper, but you need it in combination with other things for it to be really good. None of them just end up one-shotting somebody, for example. So that's kind of how all those work. Oops, gotta go all the way back here. So, with that said, the build that I did in this game is a Quas Wex Invoker. It is the most popular Invoker in the pro scene right now. In pubs, the most popular build is probably one similar to this, which is a Quas Exhort build. This build is actually awful. This looks like a one-shot build. There's another build you can do where you go pretty much all Exhort, and your goal is to do Chaos Meteor, Sunstrike, and then a Deafening Blast. So you basically hit them with 3 big nukes, and you can set this up by using a Yule Scepter. Excuse me. So, but that build's not very good. I really don't recommend it. It's very cheesy. It doesn't scale very well. It doesn't cover as many bases. The best build, just ignore this area. But the best build that most people do is they get like 2 to 3 Quas early game. They'll get 2 to 3 Wex. They'll get Invoke, and they won't get an Exhort level until much later, maybe like level 10 or so. Because by grabbing the Exhort level, it opens up your possibility of invoking spells like Deafening Blast. Alacrity is another one that you will sometimes do with the Quas Wex build. But those are the only ones you're really missing out. If you don't have a lot of Exhort, Chaos Meteor is bad, and Sunstrike is bad. Forge Spirits are okay with weak Exhort, but it's not really worth getting because you get 2 Forge Spirits when you have 4 Exhort and 4 Quas. So that's the most common build that involves Exhort, because you get 2 Forge Spirits, you can gank with it, you can push with it, you can farm with it, basically. But we don't really worry about that too much. I don't even know if I casted Ice Wall, Deafening Blast, or I know I casted these spells. The biggest spells in the early game, though, is definitely Tornado EMP. You send a tornado out, it lifts everybody in the air, and then you cast EMP, so when they land, the EMP hits them, they get their mana drained, and it gives you a really big teamfight advantage. So Tornado EMP is definitely the best build for Invoker. So I usually get a mix of Quas, Wex. I use things like Cold Snap, Tornado, EMP, Ghost Walk, things like that in the early game. Okay, so common items. Phase Boots is a go-to because when you're playing the Wex build, you run very fast and you attack very fast, so getting attack speed is very good, and the bonus movement speed can be useful. Aghanim Scepter is pretty good because it lowers the cooldown of your ultimate. You have a very long cooldown on Invoke, 22, 17, 12, and 5, so it isn't until level 17 that you can actually cast spells fairly regularly without an eggs. When you do get an eggs, it makes your cooldown very, very low at pretty much all levels, or at least it makes it a lot lower. So being able to rotate through spells, it requires you to know Invoker better, but it allows you to cast more spells, and if you cast 5 spells in a fight, you usually win the fight, assuming your opponent's on a BKB. Orchid is also picked up because you're a pretty good ganking hero with your abilities, and Invoker is not a hero that usually farms as a carry, or goes that way, unless you are playing the Exhort Invoker. Exhort Invoker can go that build, but the Quas Wex one, it's much better if you just aim to be a teamfight kind of hero. Blank Dagger is pretty good, Force Staff is pretty good, it helps you get away from your opponents if they're diving on you, for example. Boots of Travel just has a really high win rate because it's something you'll often buy in a stupidly late game. Even though these matches are pretty high, it's basically an Exhort build, more or less. Heroes you're good against. You can drain the mana of Wraith King very easily using EMP, so you have a big advantage versus him. And then a lot of these other heroes are heroes that are pretty reliant on mana, namely these three. Abaddon and Omni Knight will need mana to cast spells on their allies, so they often can't protect themselves. So you have a good chance of disabling them. They do have really good win rates either way, which is why these numbers are so low. Invoker's not particularly good against these heroes because they are just so good at saving allies. Medusa needs mana to be tanky, and a couple of these other heroes are pretty much the same boat. They're basically heroes that are very weak to disables and some nukes and EMP. So here's your bad against. Bad against Io, Chen, Nyx Assassin. Not huge advantages. The Chen one kind of makes sense because he's a push hero, and he can easily heal up the damage that Invoker does and send people back if they're really in trouble. Io, I'm not quite sure about that one, but kind of weird. Your stat gain is not amazing except for your int gain, but keep in mind that when you get quas levels, you get yourself extra strength, which technically makes this strength gain a lot better than it really looks. Your movement speed is atrocious at 280, but again, if you get quas or if you get wex levels, you're actually running a lot faster. Base damage is also really awful, 35 to 41, but again, every time you level up, you get an extra 4 damage, which is pretty good. Your attack point's pretty good. Your armor is pretty bad, but not awful. If you look at the hero rankings, it's like all super talented players. The only one player on here is not known. Yeah, a lot of well, I guess he's Australian, but Korean originally, I think genetically. I might be wrong on that. Anyways, 48% win rate. It's pretty good, not bad. All right, I've played Invoker 50 times, surprisingly. I've got a 50% win rate. I have a huge KDA just because he does a lot of AoE. It makes a lot of sense. I didn't realize I played him so much. I played him a lot in the past, I think. I haven't played him very much recently. If we look at the hero meta statistics, we can see that he actually has a very high win rate at 5k plus, 51.67%. He's at a point right now where he's played occasionally in the pro scene, and sometimes does work, and sometimes it loses. I would say his win rate is probably sub 50% in the pro scene. So Invoker's at a good place now, balance-wise, where he has potential, but he's maybe not the most amazing hero. He has pretty low win rate at the low marks, below 2k at 45%, but that's not too surprising because he is complicated to use. Alright, so that's pretty much everything you're ever going to want to know about Invoker, I think. Just remove this black screen here, and then we can go back into the game. Boom. We're just going to jump forward a little bit. Hopefully this doesn't crash the replay. And back up a little bit. I played this game last night with a bunch of friends. Some pretty familiar faces that you'll probably be expecting.
30 seconds to battle.
And here we go. Okay, so at first you're probably like, what the heck are these items? Well, you can kind of get away with getting not that much regen on Invoker, and that's because you've already got regen from your quas, and a couple extra stat points is not bad either. But the main thing is that your base damage is so bad that you need to have a way to be relevant last hitting against the people that you're against. It's really important. So Blades of Attack into a fast phase boots is usually the way that Invoker will play his game. I was trying to get the bounty rune here. Oh, it was okay. I thought that there was a Ricky there that stole the bounty rune. In reality, I was just clicking a little bit slower than the Bloodseeker was. There was really pretty much no way that I was going to be able to zone him here. I think I do have 3 Quas orbs out. You just can't see them because I jumped the replay forward. So you'll see them up here once I end up getting or changing them eventually. Luckily for me, there was nobody in the lane at the start, which is pretty good, because again, my base damage is not very good. I do have 3 HP regen per second going for me right now, and I also brought out a piece of regen on the courier, which was going to be a tango. So I feel pretty okay about this item build. I think it's good for the mid lane. In most cases, you don't want to play Invoker anywhere else but mid. You can get away with it sometimes, but it's not really recommended. And since I'm up against a Purge, this game reminded me a lot of old pub games that I'd play, because Purge as a whole is a little scary to deal with. Like, you usually severely will outlane him and do more damage to him and get more CS. But if you let him kill you, then he can really vault forward in advantage. Did a little bit of a mess up there. I should have been attacking one of those creeps more passionately than the other, because that would have allowed me to get a little bit ahead in terms of getting both last hits. So this is usually a time period where Pudge is going to hook you. Like right now, he might hook south. But looking for those advantages is important. So I already checked his regen. I saw that he had a salve. So I bullied him a lot. And now is basically the dangerous part. When he's full HP again, he's at a point where he's very likely to attempt for a hook. So playing against Pudge is a matter of patience, basically, and not being greedy. I skilled Wex here in case I needed to use a tornado, because using a tornado would allow me to escape Pudge. I hit Pudge here once. That was a little scary because he could have hypothetically came down. I also dodged south a little bit because I knew that he had a possible hook angle on me, and he was not able to land that. So a little close and a little scary. But if you are against the Pudge, make sure you stand on the high ground like this, because it does prevent him from being able to basically hook you from an unexpected angle. And right now we saw Pudge grab the bot rune. Not too surprising to see Pudge roaming in the early game. But again, I'm just kind of auto-attacking constantly because I know that it's going to allow me to... I mean, I'm not going to miss my last hits if there's nobody here. And it's going to allow me to pressure the tower. Except for that last hit, of course. So next item I'm going to bring myself is Boost of Speed and a TP Scroll. Some pro Invoker players will often get the second Blades of Attack before they grab their boots. This is a little scary now because Pudge is approaching. I'm going to queue up my Tornado. These orbs look a little different because I have a special cosmetic item, by the way. This is a dangerous hook possibility, by the way. He could have potentially hooked me right there and brought me in tower range. That's really the main thing you have to worry about, is being under tower range. And again, I more or less baited him into hooking me. It wasn't like super straightforward, but I've played it against Pudges enough where I can usually tell if I'm in a dangerous position and I need to avoid it. So I've got my phase boots coming out, which means my damage is going to be really good. I've gone for a second level of Quas as well before getting the Wex, and the reason I do that is just because of the extra regen it provides, and also because the cold snap duration is really nice to increase. This is really dangerous. I felt the danger here. Luckily for me, I got my phase boots delivered right then, so I was able to back up and get out of his rot range. But the downside is that my HP is now very, very low. And I have to be very careful about coming up to the creep wave. I was worried about him hooking me here, and I wasted so much time waiting for the juke that I put myself in a bad spot. If he lands the hook, I basically die here, and he does land the hook. What I might have done instead, first of all, is when I was running away, I needed to immediately run south instead of running to the left, because by running to the left, I gave him the opportunity to hook. That, or I needed to wait until my HP was more full before I started doing aggressive things. So messing up that kill by getting killed there, it was a huge mistake, because Pudge actually has 3 last hits right now, and I have 19. And with that kind of a gold advantage, you shouldn't be losing your lane. But because he hooked me under the tower, I lost tons of HP, and now I have to pay for that. By him probably getting a Boots of Speed. He got first blood out of that, and he got 300 gold. So he got a lot of gold out of that. He should have gotten, I think he got like 500 or something. So the safest place to stand basically is in between the creeps, which is why I'm standing here. He basically can't hook me at that angle. Could maybe hook me there, but I went for 3 Quas. I don't know if I needed to do that because hypothetically more movement speed might have been nice to have, but despite him killing me, I still pretty much own the lane. To be a little bit worried here when the creeps get low, like getting hooked here would be dangerous. I actually did get hooked, surprisingly. And this one was a gank. I could have lived, I think, here if I would have done Cold Snap or Ghost Walk, but I didn't anticipate the lion being there. And I also didn't expect the hook to land. I think I was looking top. Yeah, I was looking top when I got hooked. So dying twice now is a huge mistake. If we look at our net worths, he's actually way ahead of me. So despite getting like no last hits, as long as Pudge gets some kills, he's in a good place. So that was a huge mistake by me. Start of my Invoker game, not so good, guys. It's more of a how to lane against Pudge. But you basically lane him kind of similar to how I've done. You get a TP scroll, you look for possibilities where you can help out your allies in other lanes, and you consistently try to last hit and stay ahead of your opponents. The match before this one, which was my first Invoker game in a long time, I laned against a TA, and that's a really bad matchup for an Invoker. That one kind of sucked. But it's something that you can do, and you can get away with it. This is a better matchup for me. I did obviously get killed twice, but you can still come back from this. I still have decent items. Despite my net worth being a little bit low, I can still make a lot of space on the map. And to do that, you basically need some levels, and you need to set up some ganks. I missed on my last hit there because I was recurring. So I'm just making a magic wand and a phase boots, which is going to give me some general HP. Again, I've got 3 points in quas, which is 6 strength. Got another 4 agility here, which is not bad. It's basically like I have a bracer, more or less. I grab an invis rune and I'm going to run to the top lane now. There's a possibility that they have a ward, but everybody's pretty low, and I'm extremely mobile right now compared to everybody else. So little ganks like these in the early game, the first 6 minutes, are actually quite good to do. Thinking about doing a tornado here. As soon as the silencer walks back, cast the tornado. It barely goes far enough and it hits 2 people, and I'm just gonna go die for this one. A little bit of a cold snap, 2 right clicks, and we've got an easy kill. I should have TP'd instantly. Instead, I thought that I would be able to escape here, and I also miscued really badly. I could have also queued up Ghost Walk, so I made another mistake there. What should have happened is I should have attacked, then cold snapped, most likely. That might have been a better move. But I should have killed the silencer and I should instantly TP'd. Because every time that the Bloodseeker hit me, he put me so much lower. He put me so much lower on HP, and that gave him further and further damage. So when he hit me first, I was like, oh, this is fine, I'll just walk away. But he did more and more damage. I underestimated just how much Bloodseeker would do. I think it might be because of the change to Bloodseeker and the fact that he doesn't get as much damage when you're from 100 to 80%. Now he gets all of his damage from 80 to 0. So every hit actually gave him a gigantic boost compared to before, where he would just be strong like right off the bat. So his damage is more exponential than before, where it was more steady. So maybe I didn't predict that as well. But if I would have just TP'd instantly, I would have lived, I believe. So a little bit of a mistake. Either way, I'm going back mid. I'm going to continue farming. My last hits are awful this game. I should have at least 50 at 10 minutes, especially against the Purge. But being dead 3 times really impacts your overall CS. I last hit decently in my lane, but it definitely could have been better. And I'm pretty sure that I was the highest MMR in this game. So keep that in mind when you consider my competition. Which I'm basically saying bad things about myself, you know. Like if I'm last hitting against weaker players, I should have like an insane amount of farm. But it's not really something I practice very often. I very rarely will play mid. Notice Pudge here, got a little vision. I'm gonna give him some cold snap. Couple attacks. Don't really have to worry too much about him because it's only really dangerous if he gets in melee range, where he's able to use his ultimate. And I'm going to go back to last hitting. I have to still worry a little bit about a hook. It's a good hook attempt by him. You can sometimes catch people if they're on the edge of other creeps. So he's just hoping, maybe if I land the hook, I can do a ton of damage to Invoker, possibly kill him. If I don't land the hook, you know, maybe it's not as good. So now I'm going to try to get some advantage here by TPing to the bot lane. Go on the line here. Wasting my phase boots a little bit here. And a great stun by him means we don't get the kill. So that was really unfortunate. The mistake that I had here was I wasn't prepped on the right spells. If you want to do Tornado EMP, you need to have them ready, right? But if I have Tornado and Cold Snap up, I have the Tornado, and then Q to get EMP, and then all of a sudden my Tornado is useless, right? Or what I can do is Tornado, instantly Q up Cold Snap, and then instantly Q up EMP. A little bit of a tornado here. I was going to go invis here, but unfortunately the line came back. We lost a lot in that fight. Alright, let me explain what I just said. So, they changed this recently. When you invoke a spell that you already have invoked, it gets moved to the first position. So if my first position spell, like Ghost Walk here, if I re-Q Tornado, Tornado gets moved to the first position, and then if I Q a new spell, the Ghost Walk gets moved off. So basically the way, I wasn't prepping for that fight correctly. If I'm going to do a gank, before I TP, I should, basically in lane, I should have like Tornado EMP ready consistently. And this is something I wasn't doing well at all as an early game Invoker. You can do a lot in the early game, but you have to do Tornado EMP. So even now, I'm going to a lane, I'm not queuing out my spells. You have to plan ahead on this hero to know what spells you need to have to be prepared to get last hits and to be able to contribute to a team fight. So I should have Tornado EMP. If I Tornado EMP the line, and then I cast Cold Snap afterwards, he 100% dies, and he has no chance of survival. Instead, I only casted 2 spells. I did a damaging spell, and I did a little bit of a chase spell, but my damage isn't really high enough here for this to matter just yet. So I messed up pretty severely by not getting that kill as well. So pretty much all of my mistakes here are just coming down to not much Invoker practice. I just have very rarely played the hero in a long time. So keep that in mind when you're watching me play. Do a little bit of a stack here because what the heck, why not? Got an Observer Ward right on top of me. Couldn't see that though. Was thinking about TPing top, but I didn't have a TP for 18. It's not really something we can do for a bit. Chachi was doing pretty well though. I was thinking about running all the way top, but at this stage I was basically like, okay, maybe this is ultimately going to be worth this.
Dire's structures are fortified.
It's kind of lucky to get that last hit. I still haven't queued up a good spell. I still have Ghost Walk on deck here. Alright, so there I finally am like prepping a little bit. I queue up Tornado to not be the spell that gets replaced if needed. Should probably start. Okay, I TP'd the 2-2. I should have queued up EMP a long time ago. See, I just now queued up, for example, and I don't have to be on a cooldown on Invoke right now. I could have had an extra spell in that fight, and if I have an extra spell, that gives me a better chance of getting a kill. I'm not going to kill him here because I used my dust already, so the dust eventually fades. A little unfortunate, but that fight should have gone much better, right? The fight should have started by me tornadoing and EMPing, and if I do that, they get drained as they come down. But because I didn't have the 2 abilities queued up, it puts me in a much more precarious situation. And while maybe this video isn't going to show me playing Invoker well, it's going to at least show you some of the pitfalls, which is most of what playing a hero well comes down to. You match out the experiences, you see what it's like playing the hero, and you see where you get those errors. I learned this a lot by playing Ember Spirit as well the same night. I basically said, okay, this is how you mess up on Ember Spirit, and then I learned lots of things like, oh, these are general practices that I should do when team fighting. I should always put a Remnant way back before I even initiate. That way if things go scary, I can jump out without having to worry about slows. There's a lot of things like that that increase your chances of getting ganks successfully, since they are heroes that are not they're not standard in any way. So I'm gonna go for a fast 4-staff this game. See if I can get the tornado. I can. The EMP. Don't know if I got him, but he did defuse the blade off his dust, which was made quite clear. Still kind of looking for him to see if I can grab him, but we're not able to spot him yet. But this is a really nice combo that you can do on Quasweck's Invoker right now is Cold Snap with Urn. The reason it's good is the reason it even works is because they changed the damage that Urn does to pure damage, which means that it disables blinks and things like that. So now I can basically cast Urn and cast Cold Snap, and every time that the Urn procs, which I don't know how often it does it, but it does damage over time, then it'll trigger Cold Snaps, basically. Might do it like every half second or something, I'm not quite sure, but you basically do more Cold Snaps by throwing an Urn on somebody. So I'm just going to stand here because I was kind of anticipating some Chachi, them ganking Chachi. The fact that I still have the most CS this game is pretty ridiculous because I haven't really farmed in a while, but the fast 4-staff I think is really good. If you're playing against a Ricky Maru, you're able to get out from Smoke Cloud. If I'm the Global Silence, you're able to get away from that. If Pudge hooks me, I can 4-staff myself away. Oh, just found a Pudge here. Do the Urn to start things off, and then as soon as that's done, just hit him with the DPS. Give him the old tornado just in case the Weaver does not get the last hit and we score a kill on Pudge. So that was pretty good. Pretty good. We lost Luna, but ultimately going to be worth it. So I feel pretty good about this item build. It gives me a little bit of mana regen. It's pretty much the go-to build for all Invokers right now. They'll go phase, maybe a wand, Urn, and then go into the... This is really scary. Luckily, there was a really good disable from Blanket, otherwise that fight would have gone really bad. I misclicked my Cold Snap a lot here. Completely with my Tornado. You did see the Pudge here. And as soon as he misses hook, things are really bad for him. I probably should have force staff. Oh, I did. I also should have cold snapped him a little bit earlier.
All is silence. Your spirit leaves your body.
Don't actually know if I caught him with the tornado there or not. I played that fight a lot better, but the same problem existed. I didn't have a team fight ability ready while my tornado was on cooldown, and as those 3 heroes ran up the hill, we would have gotten absolutely wrecked if Blanket didn't stun them with the boulder smash. It would have been really terrible. So at the very least, I should have been able to like instantly EMP on the ground as they're approaching the high ground to make the fight a lot harder for them. Force them into casting their spells, because they're like, well, if I don't cast my spells now, I'm going to be out of mana, and sometimes that's a really bad thing. So, but I feel pretty good about my item build here. My KDA has came back as well. I'm pretty much just getting kills by doing right clicks and all that good stuff. I checked the Ricky here, and he did not have any TP scroll, so I'm just going to go lead him off. And there's the dust on him, so it's pretty clear where he's going. He's also out of Diffusal Blade charges. And Chachi was able to get the kill. Kind of an interesting Ricky build. He just Diffusal Blade rush. It's good to get a fast Diffusal Blade, but I think he used up the charges way too fast. I'm late on my EMP here. I thought I was going to live there, but it was a nice touchdown push. I also bought out before I died, and I ended up buying a Staff of Wizardry, which at first I was like, wait, I don't actually need those. But then I was like, I guess I'm building an eggs. So I wasn't intending to build eggs here. I was intending to go Orchid instead, but it's not a terrible Ags game. It's not an amazing Orchid game. It's a pretty good Orchid game, but it's not amazing. Main issues there was I EMP'd late. That would have been useful. I don't think it would have kept me from getting stunned or anything, but another thing I could have done, I don't know if I had vision or not, but it's possible that I could have stayed farther away. For example, Hex's range is not 600, it's maybe like 500 or something like that. So if I stay a little bit longer than 500 range, I can still Cold Snap earn the guy, and he'd have to Earth Spike, which has a longer cast time. That's probably how I should have played that fight differently. Say like, okay, he's going to Hex me before I get the Cold Snap off. I did this poorly, and I definitely did do that poorly. It was a little sad to get hooked by Pudge. I could have thought about that as well, and maybe like phased into the creep wave and then teleported. That would have been a lot harder for him to hook me. But I was just trying to save as much time because I was still worried about the Bloodseeker killing me like before. So looks like a fight's gonna happen here, so I gotta get here as fast as I can. Yeah, they should really go on that Pudge. I think they're a little bit slow about that one. They could have just scaled him, I think. Would have been a good fight. I've grabbed an Exhort level here. That way I can cast things like Ice Wall or Deafening Blast. Nice escape from Pudge. Not too worried about getting a hook there. Taking a lot of damage from the curse, but that's okay. Part of the nice thing about having Urn.
Set in stone.
No tornado for 6. I was thinking about force staffing Chachi. I was trying to cold snap him there to prevent his blink.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
This does not look good.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I had to tornado him for the kill, because otherwise I wouldn't have done enough damage, I think.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Couple heroes thinking about shifting over. We lost the top tower. That was not amazing. Losing Chachi was not good. I should have saved my force staff to go up the hill, I think. But I thought I would get close enough there to land the cold snap.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
He's diffusal blading himself to try to remove the damage, but all he really did was remove all he did was remove the urn. Actually, apparently you can diffuse the blade off urn. So he didn't. Apparently you can't diffuse cold snap, and because of that, he was just pretty much screwed. Which I think is pretty fair because it's a stun. So, I mean, there's some stuns you might be able to remove, and it's kind of a status effect or whatever. But all he removed was the urn, and he wasted a lot of diffusal blade charges. That was 3 actually. He casted one instantly, then he casted another one, and then as I dusted him, he used his third. And diffusal blade charges are too valuable there for him to make mistakes like that. Again, I'm sitting on Tornado and Cold Snap. I still think this is... After playing this game, I basically felt like this is the wrong way to set it up. And while I was playing the game, I thought of it this way. I was like, why does it feel like I'm not having a big impact in teamfights? And the reality is that when I thought about it, I was like, it's because I don't have the right spells queued up. Yeah, Tornado and Cold Snap are the two spells that I use by far the most when I play Invoker, but it doesn't mean that they have to be queued up. The reality is that when you want to cast a Tornado EMP combo, you need to be ready instantly. And you don't have time to Cold Snap somebody first. Like when I was playing my first game of Invoker, I had games where I would Tornado, and they'd be like, oh, I need to use Cold Snap because if I queue up EMP, then I'm not going to have Cold Snap, and then I'm only having 2 spells, which is worse, you know? But the reality is if you sit on Tornado and EMP, you can always pull up Cold Snap when you need to. And that's the way that it should be. That's the way that I should have my spells queued up, even though I heavily rely on only 2 spells when I play Invoker. That was a really nice catch.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Cast 3 spells. Nothing like standing your ground. So a really good fight for us. I'm actually going to look at that fight over to see if I could have done anything a little bit better. So I felt like the fight was poorly played by me. Alright, so I'm going to go free camera as well. So I don't actually have these debuffs on me or anything. Again, EMP is not ready. We catch the lion. I surge forward to try to catch him.
Radiant's bottom tower is
And I think I might have been able to attack him before I got hit. I also Tornado just to try to kill him. But in reality, the Luna was able to score the kill. That was a good kill. Turning Cold Snap. I didn't even gather information very well. My camera was like this the whole fight, and it should have been like this. That's a big mistake. I feel like it wasn't really me that played this fight well. At this point, I did find I should have moved a little bit more. Rather than standing still and attacking, I should be moving every time I attack. To anticipate where the flow of the fight is going to be. So, that was fine. I'm not moving my camera well enough, and I'm not attack moving well enough. That was the things that I very clearly messed up this game. But it definitely makes me want to play Invoker more. He's a really fun hero. Small miss-skill build, I think. I should have 4 Quas before you get more Exhort, I feel. Because the Quas is basically really useful for me instantly. This is Alacrity, by the way. Makes people attack faster. Right now I'm getting 50 damage and 90 attack speed. So really, really good damage output.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But Eggs is on the way. To be a little careful about fights here.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
But now my ultimate cooldown goes down to 4. I believe it goes down to 2 at level 4. This is weird. It's a little bit of a late cast there by me. Okay, I did nothing. You don't really want to blink aggressively to place a ward. You want to place a ward and then blink defensively. Is almost always the better place. That was a mistake from lane here.
Tower is under attack.
Don't know if we see the Ricky here or not. I don't have detection. But I kind of like the Eggs build, honestly. Just makes you so tanky. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The average stats that it gives are really solid. Alright, so now I finally have my skill build correctly. I've got EMP Tornado ready to go. Ooh, I almost got hooked. If I got hooked there, I was like dead. Trying to get closer so I can cast my spells. But I don't want to take too much damage. I think I pretty safely could have moved forward to Cold Snap there. So a little bit of a misplay by me.
Dire's top tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And now we're pretty set to go high ground. I really should have initiated on that guy a little faster. Purge obviously hooking from the trees. And now things get a little scary for us to actually push. Really don't feel like I'm playing Invoker well at all. I'm not rotating my spells well enough, I think that's the main thing. I've pretty clearly only used like 3 spells, Tornado, EMP, Cold Snap. But you can get away with it, honestly. You can win games just by doing that. And Earn has really been my 4th item. Earn, Cold Snap, Tornado, EMP. I haven't used Deafening Blast, I haven't used Ice Wall really. There's a Ice Wall. Now we're kind of just at a point where I'm far enough ahead and my damage is good enough where I just like right click the hell out of heroes. My Ice Wall was actually really good there though, that did a lot. It prevented them from retreating, prevented them from... They basically forced them into fighting essentially. That was maybe the best. It was a good Ice Wall. But as of yet, my Tornado MPs have been really mediocre. Haven't really done that much mana draining. I don't remember Tornado MPs being so difficult. From the last time I used to play Invoker, it was probably like 2 years ago or something. I haven't played him in a very long time. So, Dota knowledge and experience has definitely improved a lot since then. Keep in mind though, this is also a really fast game. I didn't realize the game was so fast, but it really was a very fast game. The CS is awful, 95 CS. Oh man. I actually did so much damage. I couldn't believe I got caught there. Very dead there. I'm gonna accelerate a little bit here.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Invisibility.
Alright, next item. I got Boots of Travel and I got a Blink Dagger. The reason I got Blink Dagger is because it's going to help me be a little bit more mobile in initiating. I don't have to like walk up to somebody and then cast my spell. Should make it a bit easier. I get the wrong orbs up right now. That was looking to be a very good Tornado EMP, but the Global Silence coming out kind of limited me a bit. A little weird. Oh, I actually caught a Ricky there. It's kind of nice. We really should have had a gem at this moment. I think I should have moved forward and Cold Snapped one of those guys. The Deafening Blast was late. I think I basically sat there and was like, please. Just very inexperienced on Invoker at the moment. Very rusty is maybe the better way to say it. Not that I've ever been truly good at Invoker or anything. At this point, EMP Tornado becomes more of like a prep, then it becomes something else. Oh, this is a very important thing that I did there. I didn't use Tornado. You do not want to use Tornado like that. You don't want to use it when your allies are initiating, because it actually buys your opponent's time. Yeah, it does damage, but you don't want to cast it and interrupt your allies' chain of attack. It's something that a lot of really bad invokers make the mistake of. It's a huge mistake to do that. Give him a little bit of a blast here.
Radiant's top
to invisible.
tower is under attack.
Triple kill.
Dire's bottom barracks has fallen. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Looking out for heroes.
Dire's middle
I like the
tower has
BOTs.
fallen.
Makes me very fast. Our team setup was pretty good. And there you go, I cast the Forge Spirits.
Dire's ancient
Did it, guys.
is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under Radiant victory.
So yeah, I need some Invoker practice, but that's the basics of the hero. I hope that kind of covers everything. Remember, Cold Snap, right clicks, and Earn are a massive component of how you do well with Invoker. Transitioning to teamfight, using your abilities in the correct way is really how you surpass that. And then to get to the next level, you have to rotate through your abilities while doing all that very rapidly. That's the stage where I'm really bad at, and I'm pretty weak at still doing my attack moving. I'm still a little too overwhelmed at all points in time by Invoker that it's not allowing my brain to basically be like, oh, I should be attack moving, attack moving, attack moving. That was one thing that really impressed me. If you guys want to see an amazing Invoker, Miracle played a ridiculously good Quaswex Invoker at the Frankfurt Major. I can find the replay for you guys. If you guys want to see somebody really talented play Invoker, watch that game, because man, he made Invoker look like a top tier hero. It was really incredible. So I think that's it for the Invoker game. I'm going to record my Ember Spear one now, so you can look forward to that probably tomorrow. I'll probably upload it then. But thanks everybody for watching today. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving if you are American, and for everybody else, hope you had a good Thursday. Okay, see you later. Bye.